Beginning in the late 1960s and culminating quickly in the 1970s, a second era of professionalism in American journalism came to be, the most famous feature of which has been a substantial increase in and celebration of investigative reporting, signaling a more aggressive and independent spirit in the news business. As virtually all authorities attest, both Len and Bill can testify on personal experience, politics and society opened up in the 1960s and 1970s, taking nothing away from Woodward and Bernstein at the Washington Post pursuit of the Watergate story, but something deeper was at stake. 4 key developments coincided with and helped make these changes in the media possible. First, government grew larger and more engaged in people's everyday lives than ever before. Because the federal government expanded its reach in civil rights, economic regulations, environmental responsibility, food stamps, Medicare, Medicaid, and so on. This made the media matter more than ever, and made all of us pay closer attention. Second, internal governmental reforms made the operation of politics and government more transparent than ever before. The Freedom of Information Act became law in 1966. More proceedings in Congress and more votes in Congress became public in 1970. And political reforms of 1971 and 1974 forced disclosure of political campaign contributions which had not been made available to the public before then. These and other reforms made it possible for journalism to gather information about politics that had once been inaccessible. Third, the women's movement motto that the personal is political became widely accepted, and journalists came on board, sometimes reluctantly, sometimes with enthusiasm, to recognize dimensions to politics that had once been ignored. The women's movement and later gay liberation blurred the lines between public and private behavior, or to put it more strongly, demonstrated that those lines had been an artificial construction and a gendered one all along. Fourth and finally, the culture of knowledge production and formal schooling shifted from passing down hallowed traditions to encouraging critical inquiry. This did not happen overnight, but in the past, even higher education was a matter of rote memorization and classroom recitations of canonical texts. But in the mid-20th century, especially after 1945, science, inquiry, and critical thinking were enshrined, and the result was extraordinary scientific advances and a general educated skepticism. Skepticism that threatened traditional cultural authorities, skepticism that threatened even the sciences themselves, who embraced of skepticism had led them to their triumphs. All this helped create an audience willing and even eager to believe that emperors had no clothes. But in the era of Objectivity 2.0, when news stories with some frequency arise from enterprise reporting and deep investigation, and when even more frequently, reporters offer analysis of events and not just a flat account of what happened yesterday, audiences need, but often do not have, a new sophistication as consumers of journalism. News coverage a la Objectivity 2.0 thus became more probing and more analytical. This was sometimes justified in the newspaper world as a necessary move to give readers something deeper than they could get from television. But I think it was much more than economics. It was part of a powerful cultural shift. Objectivity 2.0 news was not only more analytical, it was more negative. From the 1960s to the 1990s, according to some quite good research, journalism became more and more critical of presidential candidates. And I should underline this, increasingly negative about presidential candidates of both parties.
Beginning with the social changes going on in the United States in the 50s and 60s, the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, and the cultural changes going on in society, reporters began for themselves to see their role as being different than it was before. Some of them went too far and decided they were going to become partisan, and partisan news organizations started as a result of that. Partisan stories sometimes appeared in the New York Times and the Washington Post in the sort of new voice of the new journalism, which was being experimented with. But mostly, it was a desire to not recognize barriers anymore to pursuing the truth. And investigative reporting really was at the heart of this first, and then explanatory reporting, I think, came along afterwards. I was one of the first investigative reporters in the country at the local scene in the 1960s. It sort of began in the 1950s after the World War II, in some localities around the country, some national magazines, but by and large, the federal government was nobody ever investigated anything about the federal government. In fact, the relationship between the news media and the federal government was very cozy, as a matter of fact. So it began as a local investigative reporting, and then Pentagon Papers, a decision by the New York Times to publish that, and then later by the Washington Post, and most importantly, by the Supreme Court's decision 6-3 that the federal government could not prevent publication in advance unless it was really so dangerous to national security, which has never been found to be the case since that Supreme Court decision. In some extent, not just freed up the news media, but also caused the news media to examine how were they covering the Vietnam War? How were they covering the run-up to the Vietnam War? How much of the government had they believed wrongly? And why were they not probing the way they should have been probing the government? And Watergate really was a watershed inside the media. Not to toot the horn of the Washington Post or Woodward or Bernstein, I was one of the editors of the story, not to brag about that either. But it was a watershed, and it was really not our responsibility. It was the responsibility of that book and that movie that not only made celebrities, which was not always great, out of the people involved in the Watergate story, but made reporters say, I want to do that too. I want to do that hard work. It's very hard work, investigative reporting. The movie made that clear, even though it was glamorous at times too. It's what I call accountability journalism. Gradually, the news media decided that they need to hold the government accountable for the way in which it treats the American people. They need to hold other powers in society accountable. There was virtually no investigative reporting of corporations, of charities, for the longest time. And then it began to happen. Even now, of course, in sports, you're now familiar with accountability journalism, with journalists holding accountable everybody in society who has influence over the rest of us and power over the rest of us. And I think that is, for me, one of the most important changes in American journalism, one of the most important things going on now. Even as many news organizations are shrinking because of the economic pressures, which we haven't even talked about here, they still devote increasing percentages of that remaining resources to accountability journalism. And you're seeing it obviously in the coverage of the Trump administration.
It seems to me that two things are going on simultaneously in this moment of media upheaval. They're closely entangled, but it's worth pulling them apart. One is the transformation that's being forced on the news media by economics and technology. The business model and thus the practice of journalism are going to evolve, were going to evolve, whether Donald Trump existed or not. Michael's paper refers to the argument that we had polarized partisan media in the 19th century and survived it. True enough, but one thing we did not have in the 19th century was the internet. Obviously, the other factor in this season of media turmoil is Trump and what he represents, a popular groundswell of resentment and profound alienation, which Trump has both fanned and exploited. President Trump's relationship with the press is opportunistic and cynical. Unlike the internet, Donald Trump might well have been recognized in the 19th century. There was a radical populist movement in the 1890s, although it was a left-wing populist movement. Trump would have adapted to that, I'm sure. So let's appraise how these two forces are pulling at the news media. First, the internet. These discussions of the internet often end up sounding like witchcraft trials, in which we recount the sinister influence of the evil internet. So let me say two things in defense of the internet before I get to the witchcraft trial. One is that the fiscal trauma of the news media didn't begin with the internet. Long before Craigslist went national in 2000, and we heard that great sucking sound as all paid classified advertising disappeared from the balance sheets of media organizations, publishers were already suffering the effects of another new medium, television. Two newspapers in cities where I practiced journalism, Portland, Oregon, and Dallas, died. The Oregon Journal in 1982, the Dallas Times Herald in 1991, in large part because evening papers were eclipsed by TV news. My second caveat, the internet is in several ways an asset to the producers and consumers of news. It's a tool for gathering information, especially from places that are inaccessible to journalists. It's a fact-checker's friend. It offers new ways of presenting news. It expands our reach. It enables me to read news from around the world. In fact, it makes my current job possible because the Marshall Project is, in fact, an online news organization. So, now to the witchcraft trial. The worrisome influence of the internet on quality news, in my mind, falls into a number of categories. First and most obviously, it takes a paid commodity and distributes it for free. Only a few news organizations can muster the subscriber income, and Facebook and Google skim the ad revenue. Second, the internet means the acceleration of everything. The constant deadline, which means less time for reporting, less time for reflection, less time for rewriting, shallower and sloppier reporting. Third, on the internet, everyone strives to promote the brand or be a brand, which creates pressure to be polemical, snarky, or outrageous. Fourth, just as Amazon knows what books you like, the internet newsfeed knows whose opinions you share. The algorithm delivers news chosen to appeal to your interests and reinforce your prejudices, contributing to the polarization that is the overarching theme of these events. Fifth, Michael makes the important point that a major development in the 20th century was the professionalizing of the news media. The internet, which has no barriers to entry, means anyone with an internet service provider can call themselves a journalist, which is one reason the Trump's fake news meme resonates. It's like that New Yorker cartoon that shows the two dogs, one of them leaning over a keyboard and says, "On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog." So how should news media adapt to these problems? Let's say the mainstream media, the New York Times and the Washington Post and their kin, are they doing something qualitatively different under Trump, and should they be? I think the coverage by both papers has been extraordinarily good, but I don't think that they've reinvented journalism. Most of what we're seeing is a logical extension of the more adversarial, less deferential journalism of the 60s, which Michael referred to as objectivity 2.0, although, like Len, I don't like the word objectivity. I tend to use impartiality. The differences that relate to Trump, as opposed to the differences attributable to economics and technology, are differences of degree. We still strive for impartiality, but you can feel reporters straining at the leash. Last summer, it seems we went from stories that said, Trump says X, Clinton says Y, to stories that said, Trump says X, but actually Y, to stories that said, Trump says X, he's a liar. I'd say one of the healthiest things that has happened in journalism is that we've gotten to that, but actually stage, the sort of central stage, the real-time fact-checking. And I'm not against the L word, but I would say we should use it sparingly in the news pages because you want to speak to an audience that includes people you disagree with. And you don't want to seem to be the other party.